Hello again. Welcome to Coach B Studio. Today I hope to present 4 sessions on related topics: introduction to logotherapy and existentialism, and then also related to that is a work by Irvin Yalom, a strong representative of the existential movement, and his book When Nietzsche Wept. Okay, so that's the goal for the day. Let's see if we can get through it. Have you ever felt lost, searching for meaning in the challenges of life? It's funny how in my life, when I have met a significant hurdle, for me, it's relative, then sometimes it activates the whole meaning of life question. I don't know if you've experienced that, but that's kind of what happens to me. But regardless of that, Viktor Frankl, the founder of logotherapy, believed that finding purpose isn't just a luxury. It's essential to living a fulfilling life, and as I suggested, an anxiety-controlled or managed life. Today we will explore logotherapy, some of its principles, and how it might guide us towards resilience, purpose, even in our darkest times. So, whether you're navigating a difficult season, seeking clarity, simply curious about living more meaningfully, logotherapy might offer you some powerful insights to help you grow, connect, and thrive. You might ask, what is logotherapy? And of course, I've mentioned it's developed by Viktor Frankl. And this is a meaning-centered approach to psychotherapy. And it's rooted in the Greek word logos, meaning reason or meaning. Logotherapy is based on the idea that our primary drive in life is not pleasure or power, but rather the search for meaning. Now that is a key foundational point that helps us distinguish other approaches. The approach of Alfred Adler, for instance, the primary drive he postulated was the drive to overcome a perceived weakness. Freud's primary drive was sexual drive, right? So this is a significant foundational point to differentiate it between other psychotherapeutic approaches. The key principles that I've identified in logotherapy are, first of all, life has meaning. Even in suffering and or adversity, life holds or has meaning. We have the freedom to find meaning. No matter the circumstances, this may be hard to believe, we can choose our response and find purpose. Meaning is unique to each and every person. I don't think we have the right to judge another person's meaning. We can question it and challenge them, perhaps. Your purpose is yours to discover. It's not one size fits all. And it's really not for me to tell you what it is. Frankl developed logotherapy, as some of you know, after surviving the horrors of the Nazi concentration camps. His experiences taught him that even in unimaginable suffering, a sense of purpose may sustain us. So he saw 3 paths to meaning. According to Frankl, we can find meaning in life through 3 primary avenues. Number 1, creating work or doing a deed. Number 2, experiencing someone or something else. And number 3, the attitude we like or take towards suffering. 3 ways. In the creating work or doing a deed, we find meaning by contributing to the world through our work, creativity, or acts of service. Experiencing something or someone, meaning then emerges from that relationship. Say love and the beauty of the world around us. And the attitude we take towards suffering, this is probably my weakest in there, is even in pain, we have the freedom to choose our response, transforming suffering into growth. That is a tough one. These paths remind us that meaning is perhaps always within reach, even when circumstances feel overwhelming. Some core techniques in logotherapy. It does offer practical tools to help us discover and embrace meaning in ourselves. Here's a common one that you'll hear me mention: dereflection. That's when we shift our focus from ourselves to others in the world around us. By focusing outward, we can often find clarity and relief that benefits us. Paradoxical intention. I love this one. That's where we confront fears and anxieties by humorously or intentionally embracing them. This reduces, and in our opinion, this reduces their power over you. This is a significant one that I teach. Attitudinal change. Choose your perspective. That's why I often explore even the broadest one of optimism versus pessimism, although there are others. When you can't change your circumstances, can you change your perspective and how you respond to them? We hope so. For instance, if you're feeling overwhelmed by anxiety, logotherapy encourages you to face it head on, even humorously saying, "Let me see how anxious I can get." This paradoxical approach sometimes can lessen the grip of fear. Now, I modify that a little bit and suggest that anxiety is a natural human condition. The problem isn't that you're experiencing anxiety, it's the quantity of it, the intensity, frequency, and duration. And perhaps then through these techniques we can manage the anxiety. The goal then becomes not eliminating, but rather integrating it successfully. Applying logotherapy in everyday life. So you can integrate logotherapy into your daily life. Here's a few simple steps which are common to most. Reflect on your values. What does matter most to you? Do you know? I also put this in the context of rules that we live by. You might check one of my previous videos on rule setting, boundary making, things like that. Do you know what gives you currently your life purpose? Spend time journaling or meditating, thinking, praying, whatever you do about these questions. Seek meaning in the moment. Every moment has the potential for meaning. Whether it's a kind word, an act of service, or simply appreciating beauty, look for ways to connect with purpose. And I think this goes back to my discussion on rituals and turning things, even the mundane perhaps, into the sacred. And reframe challenges. When faced with adversity, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? That is a wonderful question. How can this experience shape me? When we're not getting over something, it seems like we're not able to get into this stage. The experiences, if the idea goes like this, even trauma. All right, what can I take from this? So, very oversimply stated, if you touch a hot pan and you get burned, what's the lesson to be learned? That's what we're looking for. And it seems to satisfy the inner psyche, the subconscious, if you will, fixation and rumination tendencies on this, where you can tell it, okay, I remember that event, I learned this from it, I'm done with it. Something like that. Meaning isn't something we stumble upon. It's something we cultivate one choice at a time. Cultivation is a topic for another session. It's, in my mind, we cultivate good and bad things. We cultivate the weeds in our garden as well as the good plants. Logotherapy does align beautifully with Christian teachings, and it may with others. That, for those more engaged in that, it would be up to them. I'm offering you what I was brought up in. No offense, but to utilize and make useful my past and many others as well. In Romans 8:28, we're reminded, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. So, surrender to a plan. Now, some might say God's plan. I don't go there. I think we're free to do any good thing. We're actually free to do good and bad. We promote identifying goodness, and sometimes you may have 2 or 3 good paths before you, but sometimes you only have one, it seems like. And some people fight that resistance is what we're talking about in needing to be surrendered. A lot of discussion of the nuances of that surrender. So trust that where you are in life has a purpose in it, even in the challenges. That's what we saw from Frankl's work as well. Now here's a big one: serving others. Meaning is often found in serving and loving others. And find you a symbol of redemption and growth through adversity. What could that be for you? In other words, transforming suffering. I know the Holocaust is a symbol of several things for people. Find one. Redemption is a key part of our psyche. How it got there, I'm not going to speculate at this point, but it seems to be important across many cultures and time. So I accept it as a more of a universal psychological construct that we need to integrate into our lives. When we align our search for meaning with God's greater purpose, we find not only direction, but deep peace. When we align our search for meaning with what we believe is a greater purpose than ourselves, okay, now modified the use of the word God, we find not only direction, but peace, deep peace. See, it's not a significant change. How do you get to the greater purpose? Some people attempt to get to it through their God. Others of us attempt to do it in a very I don't have a good word to describe this, as if it were anti-religious, but that a greater purpose can exist with or without your acceptance or belief in a God. And we can discuss that phenomenon in another session if someone's interested. So, in closing, logotherapy reminds us that life is meaningful, no matter the circumstances. By creating, connecting, and choosing our attitudes, we can honor both ourselves and the one who made us, if you choose. Grow, connect, and thrive one story at a time, one ritual at a time is our motto here. So, if you like this video, then subscribe and like it. If you really liked it, if you found it valuable, consider sharing it. Spread this discussion so that all of us, through this connectivity, can improve our understanding, perfect our knowledge. And as always, thank you for joining me. Let's continue this journey of meaning and restoration together.